Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamna Tira Vanachari Jamna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamna Tira Vanachari Jamna Tira Vanachari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Radha. Haribo, 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 Haribo. Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Om Vishnupad Prabhupada Vajra Shri Becham Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Maharaj ki, Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki, Shri Shri Jagannath Subhadra Balam ki, Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhav ki, Jai Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman ki, ISKCON Seattle Yatra ki. All glory to Samadhi. All glory to Samadhi. All glory to Samadhi. All glory to Shri Guru and Shri Guru. Hare Krishna. Hare Vilas Prabhu ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. For those of you who have the Srimad Bhagavatam in your pocket, I mean in the smartphones, we're going to discuss 4.8.22 today. Before that, I'll tell you a real story. I was told yesterday that some people may not come because they're watching the World Cup. Is that right? The World Cup was starting at the same time as the Bhagavatam class. So, I was in Russia 3 weeks ago. And the World Cup started at the time I was in Russia. So there was, the World Cup organizers have a list of all the of some people who go to all the World Cups. I believe the World Cup is every 4 or 5 years. So there was one gentleman who had been to 5 World Cups. 5. So he was given a super VIP reception when he arrived in Moscow. A whole team of press people were there to visit, greet him. This man had been to 5 World Cups. And believe it or not, this man was an Indian. And he was 92 years of age. One good thing he did when he came to Moscow, he said, I want to go to the Hare Krishna temple. So he came to the Hare Krishna temple, and the press was following him like a hero everywhere. So the press came to the Moscow temple, took a lot of pictures. And this gentleman was asked, so what's your next ambition? He said, my next ambition in life is to see the next World Cup. He's already 92 years old. He's so addicted to football. He said, that's all I dream, football. And he wants to live to the next World Cup. So this is the power of illusion. Maybe next life will become a grass in a football field or something. Yeah. He was so addicted to. But the good thing was, the temple got a lot of publicity also, where it showed he was the #1 fan. There were many fans who got special free passages and free boarding, lodging from the Russian authorities. But he was the leader, but he'd been to 5 World Cups. Okay. Yeah.
Chapter 8, text 22 of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Dhruva Maharaj leaves home. Tam eva vatsas raya pritya vatsalam. Tam eva vatsas raya pritya vatsalam. Mumukshubir midya padabhya padate. Mumukshubir midya padabhya padate. Mumukshubir midya padabhya padate. Mumukshubir midya padabhya padate. Ananya bhavini jadharma bhavite. Ananya bhave nija dharma bhavite. Manasi abastapya bhajasva purusam. Tam eva vatsaraya britya vatsalam. Mumukshubhir mighya padabhya padatim. Ananya bhavini jadharma bhavite. Manasi abastapya bhajasva purusham.
Okay. I believe the deities are going to be greeted at 8:50. At 8:50 we'll take a small 5-minute break. Okay, we're going to translate.
Translation. My dear boy, you also should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very kind to his devotees. Persons seeking liberation from the cycle of birth and death always take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service. Becoming purified by executing your allotted occupation, just situate the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your heart, and without deviating for a moment, engage always in His service. Purport. The system of Bhakti Yoga described by Queen Suniti to her son is the standard way of God realization. Everyone can continue in his constitutional occupational duties and at the same time keep the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart. This was also instructed by the Lord Himself to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Quote, "Go on fighting, but keep me within your mind." Unquote. That should be the motto of every honest person seeking perfection in Krishna consciousness. In this connection, Queen Suniti advised her son that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Vritya Vatsala, which indicates that he is very kind to his devotees. She said, quote, "You came to me crying, having been insulted by your stepmother, but I am unable to do any good for you. But Krishna is so kind to his devotees that if you go to him, then the combined kindness of millions of mothers like me will be surpassed by his affectionate and tender dealings. When everyone else fails to mitigate one's misery, Krishna is able to help the devotee." Unquote. Queen Suniti also stressed that the process of approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not easy, but is sought after by great sages who are very advanced in spiritual realization. Queen Suniti also indicated by her instruction that Dhruva Maharaj was only a small child, 5 years old, and it was not possible for him to purify himself by the way of karma kanda. But by the process of bhakti yoga, even a child less than 5 years old or anyone of any age can be purified. That is the special significance of bhakti yoga. Therefore, she advised him not to accept worship of the demigods or any other process, but simply to take to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the result would be all perfection. As soon as one places the Supreme Personality of Godhead within one's heart, everything becomes easy and successful. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta Purport, Canto 4, Chapter 8, Text 22, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Dhruva Maharaj leaves home.
Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurmilitaniyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovestam Savitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapa Vandeham Shri Guru Sagajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajevam Sadvetam Sam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Kanvidam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Chapter Vancha Kalpata Vyasya Kipasya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna Swameva Vasarya Bhritya Mita Visalam Mukshavir Mrigya Padavja Padaditam Ananya Bhave Nija Dharma Bhavite Manasu Vastapya Pajasu Purusha. So, Suniti is the speaker of this verse, and she's addressing her verse to her son, Dhruva Maharaj. The background is the Dhruva, as you know, was attempting to sit on his father's lap, seeing his brother, step-brother, already sitting on one side. And while he was attempting to do so, his stepmother was very offended. She was envious of Dhruva, and she prevented Dhruva from sitting on his father's lap. And she said, "You can't sit on your father's lap till you take birth from my womb, which is only possible if you have the mercy of the Lord." Being a young child, 5 years old, but he had Kshatriya blood in him, he was greatly offended, and he went crying to his mother. By the time he reached his mother, the mother had already heard what transpired, because she shouted so loudly that the servants in the palace went and told her. So Dhruva is being advised by his mother what to do. She says, Dhruva was very sad. The mother said, "I can't help." Sorry. The mother said, "I can't help you. Your father treats me like a maidservant. But you should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very kind to his devotees." So this is the advice of the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. One should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you don't take shelter of the Lord, what's the alternative? The alternative is you take shelter of the illusory energy, and the illusory energy is manifesting its influence through various ways. One of them is the World Cup. It's amazing how people are glued to the television, and even from India. Over 30,000 people flew from India to watch the World Cup in Moscow. So, if we don't get engaged positively, we get engaged negatively. So Queen Kunti is saying, take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very kind to his devotees. So the Lord is very kind to his devotees, and the Lord says, my devotee will never perish. Kandya pradijanahi name bhakta pranashati. Person desiring liberation from the cycle of birth and death always takes shelter of the Lord in devotional service. So at this point, the one should engage in devotional service, gets repeated again and again. And that is the conclusion of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Vyasadeva had compiled the vast Vedic literature, but he still felt, in spite of his efforts, something was lacking. And as he was meditating, Narada Muni appeared on the scene and told him that he has not exclusively presented the path of pure devotional service. And that gave birth to the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Suniti is advising her son to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. And by taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, one can become free from the cycle of birth and death. And by taking shelter, one gets purified. By taking shelter, one gets purified. So that is the advice for all of us, that we should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How do we take shelter? Through the path enunciated in the scriptures. Dhruva Maharaj took his mother's advice very seriously. And he proceeded towards the forest, Madhuvan. And when he came to Madhuvan, he performed extreme austerities. And the Lord was so pleased by his austerities that the Lord eventually even revealed himself to him. And he took guidance from Narada Muni. As he was leaving home, Narada Muni appeared on the scene. Narada Muni is also known as Sri Kalagya. He knows past, present and future. And Narada Muni said, "Young boy, where are you headed for?" And the boy said, "I'm going to look for God. If you can't help me, leave me alone." And Narada Muni was testing him. Just like in our society, before a candidate gets initiated, he's observed, and if he's found to be sincere, then he gets recommended. So Narada Muni wanted to test. He said, "You're a young child. This is not the time to look for God. Go and play." And who were retaliated by saying, "If you're not ready to help me, leave me alone." So when Narada Muni saw that they were determined to look for God, he gave him the process. He gave him the mantra. He gave him how to meditate on the Lord. And so subsequently proceeded and performed great austerities. So, if we want to please the Lord, we also have to practice austerity. Tapaseva param jyotir bhagavatam adokshaja. One of the various names of the Lord is adokshaja, which means very difficult to understand. And Lord Brahma says, you can understand the Lord only through the medium of tapasya. If you're not observed to observe tapasya, then you can't understand the Lord. This point gets repeated again and again in the scriptures. In the 5th canto, read about Rishabdev's instructions. Rishabdev means in Sanskrit the best. And Lord Rishabdev, while instructing his son, said, "Tapodevim putraka yena sattva." My dear sons, perform austerity for the pleasure of the Lord. And if you do that, in return you'll realize unending spiritual happiness. So what is the austerity we perform? With the tongue, we vibrate the glories of the Lord. Engage in Krishna Katha. Speak words that are truthful. And as the Bhagavad Gita says, speak the truth, but speak it in a palatable manner. We can see the same point rudely, we can see the same point in a palatable way. And if you do it in a more palatable way, you have a better chance of being effective. With the body, what do? What's the tapasya? We engage the body, mind and senses in service of the Lord. We have the classic example. We have the classic example of Amrish Maharaj, who used his eyes to see the form of the Lord, used his legs to walk to the temple of the Lord, used his hands to sweep the temple of the Lord, used his tongue use his tongue to glorify the Lord. Use his ears to hear the glories of the Lord. So the austerity that we perform is not something impractical. We don't recommend follow the same pattern as Dhruva Maharaj. But the Bhagavad Gita tells us how to practice austerity of the body, how to practice austerity of the tongue, and austerity of the mind. One of the austerities of the mind is to lead a simple life. Think about the Lord. Think about the Lord's instruction. Just like after the Lord had departed, Arjuna, on discovering this, was very, very sad. And Arjuna began to recall those pastimes in which he was made successful by the mercy of the Lord. But then Arjuna began to meditate on Krishna's instructions from the Bhagavad Gita. And as he meditated on Krishna's instructions, he felt Krishna's presence and his moroseness had disappeared. So that's the austerity of the mind. Think of the Lord's pastimes, think of the Lord's instructions, think of the form of the Lord, etc. In this way, we practice the system of Bhakti Yoga. So Prabhupada says in the purport, anyone can continue in his constitutional occupation duties and at the same time keep the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart. Lord Chaitanya was on a tour of southern India and he stayed in the house of this Brahmin called Kurma. The Kurma Brahmin received the Lord very warmly, washed his feet and stated, "How fortunate I am that the Supreme Lord has come to my house." And then he begged the Lord for a favor. What was that favor? "I'm tired of living at home. Please take me with you. I want to travel with you." And the Lord responded by saying, "No need to travel with me. Chant the holy names. Stay at home, chant the holy names, and preach the glories of the holy name. Read the Bhagavad Gita and preach the glories of the Bhagavad Gita. In this way, you will always be with me, and I will always be with you." So the point is, one can practice Krishna consciousness in any situation. The important thing is to chant, study the scriptures, preach the glories of chanting, preach the message of the scriptures. Many times when people come to our movement, relatives get scared. "Oh, he may abandon the family," etc. You can show the dialogue between the Lord and Kurma. The Lord specifically told Kurma Brahman, stay where you are, but chant and preach. So Prabhupada says in the purport that anyone can continue in his occupation, but the important thing is to keep the Supreme Lord in the heart. What does it mean to keep the Supreme Lord in his heart, in our heart? It means to follow Krishna's instructions. You may meet a lot of people who sentimentally say, "Yes, I worship Krishna, I follow Krishna," but they don't do anything that Krishna says. Keeping the Lord in the heart means keeping the Lord's instructions in our heart and following those instructions. Just like Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita, "Tasmat kaleshu mundaneshu." What was that word? "Tasmat sarva kaleshu manman mara yudacha." With your mind dedicated to me, take part in this battle. So that should be our understanding. Just like Krishna says, "Yad karoshi yadashnasi, yajosi dadasya, yad tapasvasi kantya tad kurusham adarpanam." Whatever you do, whatever offering you do, austerity you perform, charity you give, do it as an offering unto me. So Prabhupada says very clearly, keep the Lord in the heart and do your occupational duty. And he further quotes the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna said, "Take part in the battle, or with your mind think of me." And Prabhupada said this should be the motto of every honest person. So every person, any individual who wants to make progress on the spiritual path should follow this process. What is that? Do your occupational duty and at the same time keep the Lord in your heart. Keeping the Lord means keep His instructions in your heart. And Prabhupada further says in the purport, the Lord is Bhritya Vatsala, very dear to His devotees. So, Krishna consciousness It's not something theoretical. It can be very easily practiced. And if we engage the mind positively, there will be no room for engaging the mind negatively. So this point gets repeated again and again. Do your duty, offer the results to me. Do your duty and think about me. Do your duty while meditating on my instruction. So Suniti's advice to Dhruva is, take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and do not deviate even for a moment from the devotional path. She says that clearly. She says, without deviating for a moment, always engage in His service. The nature of devotional service is you can engage in devotional activities day and night and not get tired. Take, for example, the chanting of the holy name, which is our most important service. The holy name is descending from the spiritual world. You can chant the holy name day and night and not get tired. Often, the materialists ask, you people chant the same name day and night and you don't get tired. Why don't we get tired? The holy name is descending from the spiritual world, is not different from the Lord. So similarly, we hear the Bhagavatam and the Gita. You more or less hear the same basic points regardless of who is speaking. Krishna is supreme, Maya is bad, take to the path of devotional service. It's not that this is the first verse where this message is being delivered. So we'll just since this is Didi Darshan, we can take a 5-minute break. Hare Krishna. You have very beautiful deities and a very beautiful altar. You have Gaurasai, Madhav, and Jagannath Subhadra Balaram, and Sitaram. The Lord is so kind. He incarnates in His holy name, Kali Kali Nama Rupa Krishna Avatar, and then He incarnates in His Archa Vigraha form. The less intelligent don't understand the significance of Archa Vigraha. Even in India, you meet a lot of people who are staunch impersonalists. Once some important man had come to see me in Delhi, and I was requesting him to go for darshan in the temple. But every time he gave some excuse for not going. Finally he told me, I'm a Arya Samaji, I don't believe in deities. So, the less intelligent don't believe in the deities. In the story of Madhava Puri, what do we see? That Madhava Puri was ordered by the Lord to get chandan. And the Lord even stole sweet rice for the pleasure of His devotee. So those who say that this is just a murti made of brass or wood and God is not present, don't understand the unlimited nature of the Lord. The Lord can also incarnate in His Archa Vigraha form. So getting back to the Srimad Bhagavatam verse that was under discussion, Queen Kunti is saying, don't deviate for a moment, always engage in His service. As devotees, we should be very alert to not wasting a minute. Chandrakya Pandit very nicely states, a minute's loss cannot be made up with the wealth of the entire world. So as devotees, our endeavor should be to use every second in service of the Lord and not to waste a second in idle talk, idle activities. Time is of the essence. And the intelligent devotee wants to use everything in service of the Lord. So Suniti is stressing the point that one should engage in devotional service. And Prabhupada says, even a small child can engage in devotional service. We see that parents, when they train their children up, even at a young age, children can practice devotional service. So Queen Kunti's advice is actually meant for all of us. And that is, we should engage in devotional service all the time and not waste a minute in idle activities. So as devotees, our endeavor should be to utilize every second in service to the Lord. So devotional service begins with the process of Shravanam and Kirtanam. That is the foundation of our spiritual life. And if our Shravanam Kirtanam is strong, then it becomes easier to control the mind and the senses. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna was questioned, how is one compelled into sinful acts unwillingly? Arjuna wanted to know, how does one gets compelled into sinful acts unwillingly? And what did Krishna say? It lasts only the all-devouring enemy of the living entity, which is always burning like fire and can never be satiated. And further Krishna goes on to say, where this enemy is located, where? Where? Mind, intelligence and senses. And then Krishna goes on to proceed, he goes on to advise, destroy this with the weapon of knowledge. Destroy this eternal enemy with the weapon of knowledge. That means destroy this with the knowledge that we gain from the scriptures. Therefore, reading and hearing the scriptures is very important. Just like the Bhagavatam says, Nasta Prayesha Vadreshu Nitya Bhagavad Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nastaki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, all that is inauspicious in the heart is destroyed. And what happens? What happens when the inauspicious things get destroyed? Then loving devotional service gets established. This is very similar to what Rupa Goswami says. Adho Shraddha Tata Sadhu. In the initial stage, we should have the desire that I want to pursue genuine religion. And if you have that desire, then Krishna, who is in the heart, guides you to the appropriate source. It may be a sadhu, or it may be a book. Maybe the book sadhu, maybe the devotee sadhu. Krishna is in the heart. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hridesha Rajunate. Just like when you pass through a garden, you can smell the flower and identify the fragrance. Similarly, Krishna in the heart can identify our desire. And when Krishna sees that this individual's desire should render pure devotional service, then he sends us the means. And if we follow the advice, then what happens? Bhajana Kriya. When you follow that process, then what happens? Anartha nirvritti. The anarthas that are responsible for keeping us away from the devotional path, they begin to get weak, and eventually they are destroyed. And if you stay if we keep practicing bhajana kriya, then what happens? There's anartha nirvritti, and then there's nishta. Often devotees want to know, how can I develop determination? By making an effort. If we make an effort, sincerely practice bhajana kriya, then there will be the anartha nirvritti also. And then you can develop this love of God. So the process is very simple. The process is explained again and again. Because in Kali Yuga, we are so obstinate that hearing once is not enough. We need to keep hearing again and again. And Prabhupada says in the Bhagavad Gita, repetition is necessary to drive the point home. So that's why we see these important points get repeated again and again. So, devotee association is very essential on this path. Now the Muni explained to Dhruva Maharaj that one can possibly have 3 levels of association. You can associate with those who are more advanced, associate with those who are equally advanced, and associate with those who are what? What's the answer? Less advanced. When you have the opportunity to associate with those who are more advanced, one becomes joyful. Why? Why? Who knows? Why does one become joyful when one has the opportunity to associate with somebody more advanced? Because you're going to hear something that's going to help you on the devotional path. And the Bhagavatam gives the example, the peacocks, when they see the clouds for the first time, they dance in ecstasy. So we see that devotees are happy to associate with those who are more advanced, because they're going to hear something that's going to help them on their spiritual path. Then the next level of association is associating with those who are equally advanced. Normally, when you meet somebody of an equal status, you try and display that you are better off than he is. You're a step ahead of him. But in spiritual life, when you meet somebody equally advanced, you make friendship. And what does spiritual friendship mean? Spiritual friendship means we work together to push on the movement of the Lord. We work together to serve the Lord. In the 4th canto, there's a dialogue between the Lord and the Prachetas. The Prachetas were the sons of King Prachina Parishad, and they had performed extreme austerities for 10,000 years. And the Lord was very pleased by the austerities. So the Lord addressed the Prachetas and said, I'm very pleased by all of you, because all of you have one occupation. What's that one occupation? Devotional service. Because all of you have one occupation, devotional service. So I'm very pleased by all of you. So Prabhupada makes a point in the purport that we may be individuals, we may have individual viewpoints, but we should all combinedly engage in the devotional path. So the Lord told the Prachetas, I'm very pleased by all of you, because all of you have one occupation. And therefore you may ask me for any benediction. So in the material world, it's hard to find unity, am I right? In the United States, is everyone united right now? Or is everyone deeply polarized? What are they? So, Prabhupada used to often give the example of the United Nations, that it's actually divided nations, not a united nation. So in the material world, it's hard to find unity because everybody has their own selfish agenda. The politicians may pretend that they care for the people, but actually they don't care for anyone. Last night we were reading from Thakur Bhaktivinoda Sharnagati, where Thakur Bhaktivinoda said, don't think about your own happiness, think about the happiness of others. So, the Lord is pleased when He sees that we all have one occupation, and that is devotional service. So, friendship in spiritual life means working together to spread the mission of the Lord, working together to please the Lord. And the third level of association is, what's the third level? What is the third level? Associating with those who are less advanced. In the material world, when you meet somebody less advanced, you tend to exploit. Like the rich exploit the poor. The rich nations exploit the poor nations. Am I right? So, when it's hard to get jobs, employer exploits you. So, when you meet somebody less advanced on the spiritual path, you display compassion. Compassion means we endeavor to give them spiritual knowledge. We endeavor to give them Krishna consciousness. So, you can associate with those who are more advanced, equally advanced, and less advanced. And the Bhagavatam tells us how to behave in these situations. But regardless, we need spiritual association. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy, what is the most painful experience for a devotee? What did Ramananda Roy say? Apart from separation of devotees, I know of no unbearable pain. These days in medical science, they have a very lucrative branch called pain management. I don't know how many of you know that. So, what does a pain management doctor do? I've talked to some of them and I told them, pain is pain. How do you manage pain? Pain management is very common after you go through surgery and when you're heading for surgery. So pain is pain, and the pain management doctors make the most money. So pain is pain. How do you manage pain? He said they manage by giving different medicines at different times. Anyway, the bottom line is, doesn't matter how hard you try, you can never find any real happiness in material life. So our advice is, take your Krishna consciousness seriously. As Mother Suniti is saying, don't waste a minute. And the nature of devotional activity is, the more you engage, the more you feel like engaging. Very often devotees want to know, how can I get a taste for the holy name? Has anyone ever asked you that question? How can I get a taste for the holy name? So what's the answer? What's the answer? How can you get a taste for the holy name? Yes? By chanting. If you want a taste for the holy name, you have to chant. Sometimes devotees want to know, how do I get a taste for reading the scriptures? By reading. If you don't read, you'll never get a taste. But if you read, and if you don't understand, the more you read, the greater will be the taste you'll develop. If you don't chant, you won't get a taste for chanting. If you don't read, you won't get a taste for reading. If you don't serve Vaishnavas, you'll never get a taste for serving Vaishnavas. But if you serve, then you'll get that taste. If you stay in devotee association, then you'll feel like staying. But if you abstain from devotee association, then gradually your taste will go down. So, Dhruva Maharaj gives the example how to practice austerity. Of course, Dhruva Maharaj in the first month ate every 3 days dry grass. Then every 6 days, fruits and berries meant for animals. We monkeys, we don't say practice the same level of austerity. If you want, you can eat 3 times a day, but eat Krishna Prasad. But the principle of performing austerity is there. You have so many religious preachers all over the world today, but they never talk about austerity. Why? Because they're scared. If they talk about austerity, people will go away. But Prabhupada did not compromise. When Prabhupada was in New York, he was advised, don't preach this ancient philosophy. No one's going to listen to you. But Prabhupada refused to compromise. Prabhupada, when he came to America, he had the manuscript of the Bhagavad Gita with him. The first time Prabhupada translated the Bhagavad Gita in India, and when he found somebody who was ready to help him publish, he discovered that the manuscript was sold. So then Prabhupada retranslated the Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada was sending his devotees, especially the late Ramananda Prabhu and anyway, another devotee, to different publishers in New York, requesting them to publish these books. So wherever they took the manuscript and the publishers read the manuscript, they said, oh, too much devotional service, too much bhakti, bhakti, bhakti. Nobody's going to read these books. So they all refused to agree to sign it. But then there was, Prabhupada had produced a happening record under the happening label. And I believe it was advertised in the Village Voice, which was a prominent paper for the hippies at that time. So there was an ad in the paper, anybody could write in for that album, happening album, at that address. So one individual from the Macmillan Company, he was an accountant, he wrote, please send me one of these records. So the late Brahmananda Prabhu saw that letter. The envelope was from Macmillan Company, and everybody knew Macmillan's a very big publishing house. So he took the letter to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, we have an inquiry from Macmillan, they want your record. So normally Brahmananda and all was sending the records by post. So Prabhupada said, you go personally and deliver this record to this individual. Because he was working for Macmillan Company. So Brahmananda Prabhu dressed up, kami clothes, went to this publishing house, and he met the accountant who had ordered the record. So he gave him the record personally. And by coincidence, the editor of Macmillan's religious book section was sitting with the in the accountant's office. So the accountant introduced Brahmananda to this individual and said, he is the editor of our religious section of Macmillan. And Brahmananda said, oh, my spiritual master has translated the Bhagavad Gita that he wants to be published. And the editor said, this is exactly what we are looking for. I've done the Bible, I've done the Quran, I've done the Jewish scripture. I'm just looking for a copy of the Bhagavad Gita. So Brahmana raced back to Prabhupada and told him that they want a car. They are interested in looking at your Bhagavad Gita. And then they took, Brahmana the next day took Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita manuscript. And the editor was so happy, he agreed to publish it as it is. So, generally people don't like using the word austerity and bhakti. But those who are sincere speak the truth, like Prabhupada did, and people get attracted. So to summarize the verse, we just read a verse where Mother Suniti addresses her son. The son was very sad. He was insulted by his stepmother, and the father was henpecked, as they say. Henpecked husband. He didn't say anything. So Dhruva was very sad and crying. He went to his mother. And the mother said, please engage in devotional service. The Lord is very kind to his devotees. And by engaging in devotional service, you can become free from the cycle of birth and death. And one should engage in service all the time without any deviation. So this is practical advice for all of us. And by regularly reading and hearing the Bhagavatam, we get inspired to follow this advice. And through the medium of Dhruva, Suniti is advising all of us to follow this example. And the theme of the Bhagavatam, from the beginning to end, is the same, devotional service. Because that is the only means by which the living entity can be satisfied. One cannot be satisfied by any other effort or any other endeavor. So by regularly chanting and reading these books, staying in the association of devotees, we gather the strength to follow this process. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Any questions? I will ask any comments.
Guru Maharaj, how to keep determination all life in devotional service?
How should keep determination? $1 million question.
Guru Maharaj.
Very, very important question. And Rupa Goswami says, Utsaha nishchaya dharyat. If you want to succeed on a devotional path, you must be determined. Once you're on a devotional path, there's so many obstacles, so many challenges, am I right? It's not that you take to the path of bhakti, Maya is going to hide behind the curtain. Maya becomes even more active. So how to remain determined to fight Maya? From what the scriptures say, good sadhana bhakti, chanting around in the morning, reading the books regularly, staying in devotee association. Staying in devotee association, especially with those who are more advanced and equally advanced, is very, very necessary if you want to fight Maya. And we have practically seen in our movement, we have devotees all over the world who have been serving with determination. But if you look at the background, it's clear. Good sadhana, chanting, reading. This process is a proven process. We don't have to experiment. This is not something new. This has been handed down to us since times immemorial. Therefore, we should practice this path with determination. And Prabhupada also gives example of the importance of determination. The sparrow whose eggs was stolen by the ocean, she said, "Please return my eggs," and the ocean laughed it off. Then she said, "I'll dry you up." And she started drying up the ocean. So we should be determined. Okay? Okay. Yes, sir.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I wanted to ask, so, we hear in Trinarapi Suni Chena, we should not be expecting any respect and giving respect to everybody. How do we cultivate that in practical life, and especially, we're dealing with so many people and, we expect that people talk to us in a certain way and we don't, and we get off, at least I get offended if people don't talk in a certain way. How do we cultivate that?
When you say people, you mean the devotee group or the non-devotee group?
Both, because when you're at office, you're dealing with non-devotees. When you're with devotees or family members.
Yeah, when you're dealing with non-devotee group, you may be aggressive if you have to be. Just like once a devotee asked Prabhupada, "How can I be humble and distribute books at the same time?" Because when you go to distribute books, you have to be a little aggressive. If you go and stand like a watchtower salesman does, then no one will take a single book. So Prabhupada said, be a lamb at home and a lion outside. When you're going to preach to the outside world, be like a lion. But when you're dealing with Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, be a lamb. But don't become a lamb outside and a lion at home. Generally we find devotees become a lion at home and lamb outside. So when you're dealing in the karmi world, you have to apply a different standard. But when you're dealing with devotees, then you must practice more humble than a more tolerant. If you are extremely tolerant in the material world, they may take that as a sign of weakness and exploit you further. So you may have to act like a lion. But when you're dealing with the devotee world, then you apply this sloka. That's what Prabhupada said. Lamb at home, lion outside. So when you're dealing with devotees, you should be tolerant, more tolerant than the blade of grass, more humble than the blade of grass, tolerant like the tree. Offer respects without expecting anything in return. So, but when you're dealing in the material world, let's say you're due a promotion and you're not getting a promotion, and you want to complain, why am I not being promoted? You don't have to say, you don't have to think, well, I'll be more humble than a blade of grass. Whenever it's due, it will happen. Okay? So there are two different yardsticks when you're dealing with two different audiences. Any more questions? No? Harivilaj, you want to make any comments?
Krishna. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for an enlightening class. One principle that we should keep in mind is that anything that's not related to Krishna is called Maya. And just like Maharaj was talking about the international soccer games, or in America it's the Super Bowl. Many devotees don't come on Super Bowl weekend.
Or they don't come to the temple?
No. Because they come after
the
game is over, and they make near the end of Prasadam.
You have to tell them that they have to choose between Krishna and Super Bowl.
So anything that's not related to Krishna is actually Maya. Any book in which Krishna's name is not mentioned is Maya. Any newspaper where Krishna's name is not mentioned is Maya. Anything that's not related to Krishna is Maya. So if we keep that in mind, then we can understand where to go, where not to go, who to talk to, who not to talk to. But above all, we can put Krishna into everything. That is a superior way of dealing with the material energy. And basically that's what Prabhupada did. And also Advaitacharya, he mentioned the Lord Chaitanya. Wherever you are, that is Vaikuntha. So a devotee can make any situation into Krishna conscious. Neophyte devotees are not capable of doing it because they do not see how to use all the material energy in Krishna's service. But more advanced devotees are able to use everything in Krishna's service. And that is exactly what happens when you have a million zeros, it equals 0. But if someone can put 1 in front of it, it suddenly becomes a significant number. And this is what we need to be trained to do by regularly hearing and chanting. Most devotees think that by academic study of the scripture they will advance, and that's actually a mistake. It's by regular service that you advance, and you'll be able to understand the philosophy at the same time. And this academic, let's say, preoccupation is something that actually holds you back spiritually. But constant engagement in devotional service advances you not only academically, but you realize that in order to be able to communicate with people, you do it through humility and an absolute dependence on Krishna. Therefore, going out on Sankirtan is essential for advancing academically. If you don't go on Sankirtan, your spiritual life will be stunted. Stunted because you don't have the practical experience of dealing with so many people, different types of people in the world. And you're not challenged seriously in your Krishna consciousness. And therefore, the way to actually see what is missing in this world is when you go on Sankirtan, you see millions of people who have completely forgotten Krishna. At that point, a genuine devotee feels an absolute necessity to do something to change the way people are living and thinking. And the only way to do that is by going out and distributing prasadam, distributing Prabhupada's books, and talking with people and trying to help them. That's the best way you can help yourself. you want to be aggressive, you cultivate humility and you find creative ways to spread Krishna consciousness. That is the most aggressiveness. Hare Krishna.
I liked your bus free prasad distribution. That's a new way of preaching. Have the mobile van go to different parts of the city. Thank you. So thank you very much. So last night we had mentioned to all of you that I read out from the 12th canto. Does anyone have that 12th canto? Is anyone here in the audience who wasn't here last night? Okay. So the 12th canto, the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam are described. And it is explained that anybody, I'll read the verse out to make it more effective. This is 12th canto, chapter 13, text 13. If on the full moon day of the month of Bhadra, one places Srimad Bhagavatam on a golden throne and gives it as a gift, he will attain the supreme transcendental destination. Want to repeat after me? If on the full moon day of the month of Bhadra, one places Srimad Bhagavatam on a golden throne and gives it as a gift, he will attain the supreme transcendental destination. One should place Srimad Bhagavatam on a golden throne because it is the king of all literature. So, on a full moon day, which is going to be on September 26th in 2018, this is going to be the full moon day of the Bhadra month. The Bhadra month is going to go from August 23rd to August, anyway, I don't know the exact dates. But the full moon day is identified as September 26th. So it is said that if on this day one takes the Srimad Bhagavatam set on a golden throne, either for himself or for others, he obtains the supreme destination, which is, what is our supreme destination? Going back to Godhead. Here's a new shortcut. Okay. So yesterday, we asked how many devotees wanted to do that, and 30 devotees signed up when I was in the temple. And then later on 12 more added, so the total came to 43. So I wanted to request Hari Vilas Prabhu, I'm going to be leaving now, that you can read this every Sunday for the next few weeks. I'm sure you will reach 100. And then you can order these sets from the BBT, and these sets will be delivered to the devotees sponsoring it before. So then on the day of Bhadra Purnima, you can distribute it to the others. So all those who raise their hands, who were the ones who raised their hands last night? Said they'll do it. Okay. All. So I hope that and what about the ones who were not here last night? Would they like to? Okay. Anybody else who wasn't here yesterday? Okay, two more. Brajahari and so what's your name, sir? 5. Two more. Add 2 more to the list. So this is a very good plan that ISKCON is now Bhadra Purnima. It is very auspicious. And I was in San Jose, and they've got some golden throne made in South India, and they've imported a big amount. So you can distribute this Bhagavatam, and it's very, very auspicious. So I think Seattle can be right on top of the charts. Hari Vilas. You got 42 yesterday, 2 more today, 44. If you just continue, you'll reach 100 in no time. In the Sadhu Sangha festival, they got over 200 sets sponsored. Because everyone wants to take advantage of this new route back to Govardhan. Okay. Anything else? So thank you. So you'll do the ceremony now? Okay. You want to announce that? Okay.
Today we're going to have the initiation ceremony of Sergei Prabhu.
Right now.
Right now. And Sergei is going to take initiation from Gopala Krishna Maharaj. He has known him for how many years, Sergei?
95.
Since 1985?
No, I think 95.
Oh, 1995.